Black Friday against the Bears. What do you see and why this Bears team is so successful this season on offense?
Yeah, a very explosive offense, has a lot of weapons, takes care of the ball. The quarterback's doing a good job extending plays, and they got a lot of upgrades this year.
And you look at that tape against the Cowboys, obviously all season long, really strong defensive performance. What would you have liked to improve in that game on defense?
We just let up too many deep balls, too many explosive plays that we don't typically do, and I think just overall we got to bring more energy to games like that.
And there's something to be said, Sirianni always says, doing the little things right and just finding a way to win. How do you practice that every week to get back to what's been working so far this season?
You just get back to the drawing board, to the details, to in practice, in the meeting rooms, and just get better every day, honestly.
What stands out to you about Caleb?
His elusiveness. He's very crafty in the pocket, does some things that a lot of other quarterbacks don't do or can't do, so can use his feet and extend plays.
Is that kind of rare, his ability to be able to do that, like the elusiveness, but also like he'll sling it pretty much anywhere, right?
Yeah, he's got a cannon for an arm, and he uses his feet a lot.
How do you see the creativity of the Bears offense on film? How do you see that show up?
Similar to what Dallas was doing. Detroit was doing. Same family. Using tight ends, using running backs and wide receivers in untraditional ways. They got a trick play every week, probably a couple of trick plays, so tough to prepare for sure.
How challenging is a short week when we're this deep into the season and your bodies are a lot more tired than they were earlier on?
Yeah, a lot of emphasis on recovery, and the coaches are taking care of us during the week and making sure we're eating right in the cafeteria, and we're taken care of in the treatment room, so we're just staying on top of your body and getting ready for the next week.
Cam was saying the short week is kind of nice given the result you guys had on Sunday. You don't have time to really dwell on it. Do you see that being helpful, or is it a challenge because there is a lot to fix up from Sunday's game as well?
It's a tough balance on a short week, but you have to look at that last game. You have to see the things that you didn't do well or you did well and can capitalize on later. But you got to look at it all and while preparing for the next team.
Does that mean you have to eat right tomorrow too, or is
you
tomorrow a day where you
got to eat right every day? Eat right every day. I don't care if it's Thanksgiving.
Really? All right, so you're not gonna let it go?
I will eat. I could probably use a few pounds, but some guys in here probably shouldn't.
Which ones?
I don't know. You guys can pick. I don't know.
I love that he went there.
Yeah. While it's not a Thanksgiving game, it's the day after Thanksgiving. Does that hold any significance for you being on a Thanksgiving holiday weekend in a sense?
Yeah, it's cool. People are at home with their families watching TV, and another primetime game is awesome.
So what do you see on tape of why the Bears have been so successful this season?
Just putting a lot of stuff together. They're a good team. They got a lot of good guys on their defense. Byard, I think he's got 5 picks so far. He was here for a little bit, so just getting turnovers and win that battle. That it's a recipe for success.
And you're looking at this offense right now. I think you've seen a couple games this year where you're coming out, you're scoring points on offense, and then it seems like there's halftime adjustments or the defense is throwing something at you guys. I know there's a coach angle of this, but from a player, how can you handle those adjustments when a defense is throwing something at you?
When some of the plays get called, we need to execute a little better and just be a little more aggressive. Not always. Sometimes if the play calling isn't aggressive, like we can make plays aggressive by just doing our job and being better at it. Performing better.
When you say you can make a play call more aggressive, what do you mean? How can you do that as a lineman?
Sometimes you get caught in the crosshairs of certain things if you're trying to sell a play action and you don't build it up, but. Just executing a little better. I can play better. We can play better as an offense, as an O-line, and, just continue to keep working.
What's been the biggest challenge in trying to run the ball this year? Because I know it's the last year where you guys were just running all over the teams.
Just finding the groove and getting things rolling. It seems like, obviously we can execute better, but it just seems like it's been a little tougher to get things going this year.
On a shorter week, with a lot to kind of clean up from Sunday, how hard is that, or is it hard to kind of shift the focus and addressing the issues from Sunday, but also you guys have a quick turnaround against Friday?
Yeah, it's kind of, you just got to move on to the next game. We're moving on to the Bears. It's such a short week. It's hard to, dive into everything else and fix, and you're trying to move forward and get ready for the next game plan. Game plans are big. You just need to start working out the next one. You don't have time.
Is it helpful in a sense that you get to turn the page quickly?
You're focused on the next game, and it is, it's damn frustrating, losing to the Cowboys. That's our rival, and it's frustrating. It's hard to get that feeling out, but you're just moving on to the next game. You still got a little anger from the last game. It is what it is.
They had success against the Tush Push last week. They do anything crazy to stop the Steelers in that regard?
Who had success?
The Bears. They stopped the push once. They also gave up. They also got a fake on them. I don't know if you saw.
Oh yeah, Kenny.
Yeah.
Kenny had a big one. Yeah, it's fun watching Kenny. A lot of touchdowns for him this year. It's happy for him. But yeah, we try to run it a little bit better than other teams and focus on that. We do some things, and they got some big guys up there. They'll put a guy in a zero nose, and a lot of other teams will go like a 6-2 gaps where they're putting everybody in the gaps, and they might put guys head up this week, and just kind of how they run their defense. So that can change a little bit with angles.
Do they stay they're 4-3? It seems like on film they'll bring a guy down. Obviously to match heavy personnel on the offense, but do they do anything back in terms of 5-6-man fronts? Yeah,
they will. I think some of it's a little dependent on who's healthy. I know they got some linebackers that are a little banged up, and seeing who they can get out there on the field. But yeah, 4 men a lot of those times they'll go 5-2 and do that. So we just got to be ready, prepared for everything, and make sure we got plays that can work to a lot of different defenses. That's just kind of how the game's going this year. We're going to see a lot of things to stop the run, and we need to be better and overcome it.
And Saquon has taken a lot of accountability, saying that he can make more plays in the open field, and he believes that's a big factor why he isn't getting the stats. But what have you seen from Saquon when you try to get this running game right?
I think it's on all of us. I think he's taking the right approach, and we got to take the same approach of, putting accountability on us as O-line. We can definitely play better as an offense as a whole. So I'm not going to put anything on him. We got to do better and open up bigger holes for him, and we just got to be more consistent.
Black Friday against the Bears, what did the tape show you against the Cowboys that you want to apply on defense to the Bears?
Ain't nothing. It's a whole different team, whole new 11 on the field, different quarterbacks. Everything's different, different coaching. So, it's a restart to the whole weekend. We're watching film start with the Bears, and we just running from there.
Looking at this practice schedule in a short week, what are the challenges of that when you got a defense that a lot of injuries trying to get back on this unit as well?
Yeah, just getting recovery, but, coach is giving us time for that. You see we out around the time we is now, and we got the rest of the day to kind of get recovery or cold tub, hot tub, sauna, whatever you need to do to be ready for tomorrow and the next day game.
How much are you looking at this game, a get-right game, a response game? I know it's not fun to lose to the Cowboys. Kim Jurgens was talking to us about that, a quick turnaround to try to get this right.
Yeah, it's the NFL. It's hard to win in this league, but the main goal is to win. So, we come out here, we learn what we learn from our coaches, and, it's a quick transition, but we're going to be ready. We did this before. I believe we did this last week sometime, but we played on Thursday instead. But, I think we're ready for it.
Looking at the film of this Bears team, they're so successful on offense. I think catching up, some surprise with some people, not a lot of people expecting this Bears team to be so explosive. What are you seeing from them?
They got a great quarterback that can scramble, move around, athletic. Been doing this since college. I think they got to be some of the sets for that team or whatever the case may be. But they're doing their thing right now. Good record, momentum. We just gotta go out there and do our thing.
It's like all hands on deck, regardless of what's going on. You want to be out there for your brothers, but at the end of the day, you have to, lean on the trust of, the staff and, what they have going on. So everybody wants to be out there and to play and have yourself, accessible and ready to go. But at the end of the day, the final judgment comes from above. But to have, all hands on deck is always, glass half full.
What stands out about the Bears' offense?
I'm laughing because I was really about to get up and leave. But you just asked me a question.
I'm sorry.
No, you're fine. What is exciting about the Bears offense? Man, it starts from the guy that came from USC. I think the quarterback really does a great job of making the offensive flow. Obviously, they have great weapons around him, at the running back position, receivers, tight ends. But at the end of the day, it really boils down to who is conducting everything. That's the quarterback.
I feel like I'm settling in well. I think schematically and with the guys, definitely feeling comfortable and feeling good in the defense. It's kind of stupid. I think that last week, although obviously the win was disappointing, I think it was ultimately a good thing for us to, I think that when you have two, really, really incredible performances that, not that we were like riding high or thinking we're, the shit or too good for anybody, whatever, but to have something like that just like constantly reminds us we still have things to work on. So I think ultimately that's going to be a good thing in the long run. So yeah, it's been cool to kind of see kind of the ups and downs, and everybody's steadfast and confident. Nobody's losing hope or super dejected from the loss. So yeah, I feel very comfortable.
You mentioned that this could be a good thing. How have you seen the response in the building to your first loss so far here in Philadelphia?
Yeah, I mean it's been a really good response. Coach has said something like there's reactions and responses, and so it's like we're proactively responding to this by not letting us get us down or question ourselves or point fingers. It's like you just take from that, like we obviously started the game well, but we got to finish and we got to put teams away when we're in that position. So I'm sure there's going to be another situation during the year where we're up 21 points or 14 points and we can lean back on this experience of letting it up and not let that happen again. So ultimately it's like no matter what happens in life or in football, like you got to take lessons from it and let that make you better and stronger. So ultimately I think that's what we're going to do.
What impresses you about Caleb Williams' elusiveness?
Yeah, I mean I think that he's really made a step in his second year, and he's an extremely mobile and effective quarterback on the run with his feet, throwing the ball. I think he looks more comfortable and commanding in that offense this year, and I have a ton of respect for him, and definitely going to have to bring my A game, and I think we all know kind of the task we have ahead with getting after him and stopping him. So it's going to be a fun one for sure.
How much focus has there been on him outside the pocket this week?
I mean that's pretty much the entire focus, other than stopping the run, which is obviously a premium. But when it comes to controlling him and limiting what he does, he's very effective when he's being able to escape and extend plays and make plays like that. So I think for us it's going to be pass rush lane discipline. It's going to be relentless rush. Somebody smells really good, by the way. I don't know who it is, but yeah. Brandon, BG. Whatever you spray smells incredible, bro. I'm like, that distracted me. I'm like, what the hell is that? But anyway, so yeah, we know it's going to be a big task ahead of us and very important for us to be effective against them.
While it's not officially a Thanksgiving game, how meaningful is it for you to play on the Thanksgiving holiday weekend in a primetime game, national game?
Yeah, it's special. Anytime that you can get primetime games in general, but especially around the holidays, playing on Thanksgiving, playing Black Friday, on Christmas, whatever the case is, it kind of adds a little bit of to the environment. So it's definitely gonna be fun. Got my parents coming out, fiance and a couple friends and stuff, so it'll be fun.
You mentioned that pass rushing discipline with Caleb. How much has Ben Johnson, his sort of scheme, how much has that played into preparations?
Yeah, I mean, I think that he and they do a good job of attacking the edges and exploiting weaknesses in defenses, and obviously putting Caleb and other skill guys in a position to be successful. So I think ultimately we're just going to have to, like I said, be relentless and play discipline and technically sound football.
When you first got here, you said it was one of the best things that ever happened to you. Now that you've been here a few weeks, what stands out to you about the organization and playing here?
I just think that the environment is incredible. There's an air of confidence and an expectation to win and to perform well. I think that Coach Nick's messages and his whole philosophy when it comes to leading a team and what he expects from the team is very straightforward, which I can appreciate. And I think it's just been really great with the guys, with everybody in the organization, the staff, the strength coaches, the training staff, the cafeteria workers. Like everybody's just very positive and awesome.
How much do you think that's helped you as a player?
I think it's been great. I mean, it's definitely helped me from a personal standpoint of, adjusting to a new place. Like, obviously, there's always a little bit of nerves or anxiety when you switch environments and you don't know anybody and things like that. But everybody's made it super welcoming and comforting to me. So, I think that's helped me just relax and play football.